This is TWiT.
There is a new FDA-cleared Apple Watch app. It does require a prescription, and it is kind of, there's still studies and things like that going on, but it's called NightWare, and it helps folks who have PTSD. It helps them with nightmares so that they can sort of get a restful sleep. So the idea here is you've got a wristwatch that can both monitor your sleep and monitor your heart rate and monitor, I said both, but now there are three that I'm thinking of. Monitor your sleep, monitor your heart rate, and monitor your motion, which frankly, monitoring sleep is monitoring those other pieces as well as some other things. And then by listening, by watching through the use of those sensors, it can determine if you're having a nightmare and just buzz your wrist. And in doing so, the idea is that it doesn't rouse you from sleep, but instead it simply interrupts the nightmare that you're having and lets you continue to sleep. And here's what's fascinating. I've got to go into the sleep science a little bit, of course. We've got the 3 stages of sleep and REM. You've got stage 1 of sleep, which is as you're kind of getting ready. It's sort of the doze off stage a little bit. You're not quite asleep yet. Stage 2, you actually are asleep, but it's still a light sleep where you could be roused from sleep. Stage 3 is that deep sleep, and that's the restorative stage of sleep. Then you go back up to stage 2, back up to stage 1. Typically at this point, you go back down to stage 2, back down to stage 3, up to 2, up to 1, and then you go to REM. Sometimes people can just go down and up to REM automatically, but not everybody. So you hit those 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 REM. And REM sleep is actually, in terms of brain activity, it is the most comparable to being awake. So your brain activity actually can look like you are awake, but you are asleep. And what's fascinating is your brain actually protects you when it's in REM sleep. That's kind of why we don't know a whole lot about REM sleep, but and REM, for anybody who doesn't know, it stands for rapid eye movement. And they call it that because if you look at someone who's in REM sleep, their eyes are moving around underneath their eyelids. Now, we don't know why it's incredibly important. We get stage 3, that restorative sleep. That's where your brain kind of clears out those old chemicals and stuff. But when it comes to REM, we have to believe that it's important because it's been documented that your brain protects you from waking up when you are in REM sleep. And that is why, folks who are having dreams, you may have had dreams before where you suddenly start dreaming about a cat meowing. And what's happening is that your cat in real life, if you have a cat that's meowing at the door saying, let me in, I want to eat, or I want to go outside, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, is doing that to try to get in. And instead of you just waking up because of that sound, you actually stay asleep, and your brain puts the cat into your sleep. Other people have different things where I used to, when I was a kid, I would roll over onto my face and the pillow for some reason. And so I would have trouble breathing, obviously, because I was suffocating myself. But because I was in REM sleep, I would start dreaming about being surrounded by a big old spider was surrounding me with webs, and I was like suffocating in the dream. I know it is a nightmare. Horrifying. But then I would wake up with my face in the pillow. Oh, I'm actually about to, die. So my point here is that your brain tries to keep you in REM sleep. That's why we think it's important. But that is why a buzz on the wrist can still keep you asleep, but keep you from waking up, because of the protective nature of the brain when it comes to REM sleep. So this is super cool. This clearly, even just a first glance at this, I can see how based in sleep science this is. And of course, it's been cleared by the FDA to continue to do this. So you have to qualify for the study, and then it would get approved by your doctor, as a prescription for it. And it's only part of the rest of it. But the idea is that, folks who have PTSD related nightmares end up not getting a good night's sleep and wake up and panic over and over and over again throughout the night. So I think this is fantastic as a way to try and mitigate the ill effects, because this is a thing that just builds on itself. The more you don't get that good night's sleep that you need, the more susceptible you are when you are awake to the symptoms of PTSD. And so it's just, I mean, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And that's why a lot of times with PTSD treatment, they do focus so much on sleep, because everybody needs sleep. And we especially need sleep to keep our brain's defenses up and in place in order to do those things. So I am sorry for absolutely bogarting this topic. I think that I love it. I think it's fantastic.